The day moved on its own ordinary rhythm breakfast, the rush of school bags and lunch boxes, Jungkook's quiet departure with a curt "I will be late." Ordinary, but for Wine, nothing felt ordinary anymore. Every glance from him replayed in her mind, especially that look from breakfast, that fleeting softness she hadn't seen in years. It unsettled her. It made her wonder if she had imagined it. Flashback 5 years ago. When they first married, Jungkook had not been like this. She could still remember their wedding night, awkward yet gentle, his voice quieter than the chaos outside, his words hesitant but gentle. He had laughed then, a real laugh, not loud, but warm enough to ease her nervousness. She remembered the early mornings as newlyweds, when he had teased her about sleeping late. She remembered his hand resting lightly against hers at family gatherings, the protective way his eyes searched for her in a crowded room. There had been a man behind the polished exterior, a man who could smile, who could tease, who could feel. But somewhere along the way, the man had vanished. Maybe it was after his father passed away unexpectedly. Wine had seen that grief harden in his face, seen the way he buried himself in work, refusing to grieve openly. It was as if he had locked his emotions in a vault and thrown away the key. And with every passing year, the walls seemed to thicken, the walls cold and impenetrable, until she was left with a husband who was present in body, absent in spirit. And yet last night when he had said, "You think I don't feel," something had cracked, something was still there. That evening, when Jungkook returned from work, Wine was in the living room helping Arav build a tower of blocks. "Higher, Mama, higher!" Arav squealed, carefully stacking another piece. She steadied the tower with her hand, laughing softly. "Be careful, baby. If you go too high, it will fall." "It won't fall. Dada will help," Arav declared confidently, his eyes lighting up as soon as he saw his father step inside. Jungkook paused at the doorway, loosening his tie. His eyes flicked from his wife to his son. "Help with what?" "Our tower. It has to be taller than me," Arav exclaimed, rushing to him with eager hands tugging at his trousers. "Come, Dada." Wine's heart still. Jungkook rarely played. He was the provider, the serious one, the man who nodded at their son's chatter but rarely joined them. She half expected him to deflect with his usual "Later, Arab, I'm tired." But tonight, Jungkook surprised her. He crouched down, his tall frame folding beside the small toy. His large hands picked up one of the blocks, examining it as though it were a business proposal. Then, with steady precision, he placed it on top of the tower. Arav's face lit up. "See, Mama, Dada helped." Wine blinked, taken aback. She hadn't expected this. Jungkook's expression remained serious, but there was something gentler in the way he handed the next block to Arav, guiding him wordlessly. The tower grew taller, wobbling slightly under its own weight. Arav squealed with excitement, and Wine's laughter bubbled out, unable to be contained. For a fleeting second, she thought she saw the corner of Jungkook's lips twitch. Not quite a smile, but close. Her heart tightened. Later that night, after Arav had gone to bed, she found herself in the kitchen, pouring warm tea into a cup. She heard footsteps behind her, heavy, measured. She turned, startled to see Jungkook leaning against the doorway, watching her quietly. For once, he wasn't holding his phone. "Tea?" he asked, his tone casual. She nodded slowly. "For me? Can I make you for you too?" A pause, then yes. The simple word caught her off guard. Usually he would have said no, automatically, too absorbed in his routines to indulge. She poured another cup, her hands steady but her heart fluttering. She set it on the table, sliding it toward him. They sat across from each other, the kitchen light soft, the silence between them different tonight. Not sharp, not heavy, just tentative. He lifted the cup to kiss her lips and set it down again. His gaze rested on her for a moment before drifting away. Wine solo. She wanted to ask him what he was thinking. She wanted to bring up last night, to pry open that crack she had glimpsed. But before she could, he spoke. Araf shouldn't call me that. Call you what? She blinked. Robot Dada. His jaw tightened slightly. Her heart lurked. The words hit harder than she expected. He had heard her, and it mattered to him. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't teach him that. He just, her thought tightened. He just notices. His eyes flicked to her, steady and readable, but she thought she saw something. There, a shadow of hurt, a quiet admission of pain. I'm not a robot, he said softly. Wine's chest ached. I know. The silence that followed was fragile, delicate, like glass that might shatter with the wrong word. The night was colder than usual. Monsoon rains had started early, the steady patter against the windows filling the silence of their bedroom. Wine stirred under the blanket, restless. She had drifted off late, her mind tangled with fragments of their kitchen conversation. His quiet words, I'm not a robot. It had been the first time in years that he had admitted to feeling anything. Yet it left her more unsettled than comforted. Was it a confession, a plea, or just a denial? She turned on her side, watching the outline of her husband's face in the dim light filtering through the curtains. He was asleep, or pretending to be, as he sometimes did when he didn't want to talk. His features were calm, his breathing steady, his voice as intact as ever. She sighed and closed her eyes. A sudden sound jolted her awake, a cough, soft but sharp. Her eyes snapped open. Beside her, Jungkook stirred too, sitting up immediately. The sound came again, a small, pained cough from Araf's room. In an instant, both parents were on their feet. They rushed down the hall together, hearts pounding. Araf sat up in the bed, his tiny shoulders shaking, his face flushed, his little hand clutched his chest as he coughed again, eyes watery with discomfort. Mama, he whimpered. Vine hurried to his side, gathering him in her arms. Shh, it's okay, baby. Mama is here. Jungkook was already at the bedside, his palm resting on Araf's forehead, his jaw tightened. He is burning. Panic surged in Vine's chest. We need to get the thermometer and water, and I'll get it. His voice was firm, controlled, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of fear. He moved quickly, faster than she had ever seen him, fetching medicine, a wet cloth, water. His hands were steady as he placed the thermometer under Araf's arm, but the tension in his shoulders told another story. The reading beeped. Vine's stomach dropped. Jungkook pressed the cool cloth gently on Araf's forehead, his large hand tender against the boy's small frame. It's just a fever, he said, as though reassuring himself as much as her. We will bring it down. Araf whimpered again, clinging to both of them. Don't go, stay. Vine's heart clenched. She kissed his damp hair. We are not going anywhere, sweetheart. We will stay right here. For the first time in years, she and Jungkook sat together on the same side of the bed, their arms around the same child, their worry entwined. The hours stretched long into the night. They took turns sponging Araf's forehead, coaxing him to sip water, whispering comfort. At one point, Araf stirred weakly, his eyes half open. Dada? Jungkook leaned closer immediately. Yes, Arab. Don't be robot, the boy mumbled, drifting back into his restless sleep. The words hit the room like a lightning bolt. Wine's breath caught, her eyes flicking to her husband. His face was stricken, his usually composed mask cracking. He looked at the sun for a long silent moment, then down at his own hands. I. His voice broke, rougher than she had ever heard. He stopped, swallowed hard, then tried again. I don't want him to see me like that. Not him. Jungkook's throat tightened. Then why do you? His eyes lifted to hers, raw in the dim light. Because it's easier. Her heart ached. She had waited years to hear even this small truth. Easier than what? She whispered. Easier than losing, he said hoarsely. Easier than feeling. If I let myself, he broke off, his jaw trembling slightly before he clenched it again. When my father died, I promised myself I wouldn't collapse, that I would be strong for everyone, always. No weakness, no softness, only control. Wine's eyes burned with tears. She reached for his hand instinctively. For a moment, she expected him to pull away, as he always did, but he didn't. His fingers trembled under hers, then slowly closed around her hand. I thought if I kept everything locked inside, he whispered, I could protect myself, protect you, protect him. But all I have done is become the robot he sees. His sob caught in Wine's throat. Jungkook. Her other hand rose to his cheek, her touch gentle, hesitant. He didn't flinch. He leaned into it just barely as though starved for the warmth he had journeyed himself for so long. You are not a robot, she whispered, echoing his own words back to him. You are a man who has been carrying too much all alone. You don't have to be anymore. His eyes closed, his breath shuddering. For the first time in years, his wall crumbled, and in that quiet, fragile moment, with their feverish child nestled between them, Jungkook finally let go. Not with loud sobs, not with broken words, but with the simple act of holding her hand tightly, of letting his forehead rest against hers, of allowing himself to be human again. By morning, Ara's fever had lowered, exhausted but relieved. They tucked him into fresh sheets, watching him sleep peacefully. Wine leaned back against the headboard, weary. Jungkook sat beside her, their son's small hand clasped in his. For once, the silence wasn't heavy, it was tender. After a long while, he spoke softly, his voice rough with fatigue. When you wore my shirt, I thought I would be angry, but seeing you and him laugh, it made me realize how much I have been missing, how much I have taken away from both of you. Wine's eyes softened. You don't have to be perfect, Jungkook. You just have to be here with us. He turned to her, his gaze finally unguarded. I want to try. Her breath caught. It was the smallest of promises, but the one she had been waiting for all along. She smiled through her tears, reaching for his hand. Then we will try together. He held her gaze for a long moment. Then slowly his lips curved, not much, not enough, a real smile. And for the first time in years, Wine felt the warmth of hope blooming in their home again. A week later, Arab sat cross-legged on the living room floor. Crayons scattered everywhere, Wine folded laundry nearby, while Jungkook, still in his work shirt, tie loosened, knelt beside his son. Look, Dada, I drew you, Arab said proudly, holding up a scribbled stick figure in a suit and tie. Jungkook raised an eyebrow. That's me? Yes, but this one smiles. Wine laughed, her heart swelling as she watched her husband lift twitch upward again. Then I will have to keep practicing, Jungkook said softly, ruffling Arab's hair. And this time, when laughter filled the house, he was part of it too.